Alright, so today we're going to cover the VR news from September 9th all the way up until the 15th. And starting right off, we have visionOS 2 being out now. And they also came out with a new Hawaii immersive video. Now, I personally don't know anyone that still uses a Vision Pro or used one ever, but if you do, good news for you. Next up, we have some PSVR2 news, and it's actually pretty good. The PS5 PRO, which has PSSR, will automatically upscale all PSVR2 games in a future firmware update that has a future release date. Now, this means higher resolution for sure across the board on all games, but I personally, and I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same, want no reprojection, which is happening when they take a game at 60 Hz and double it up to 120, and it creates this really weird ghosting effect. Personally, and I'm sure a lot of people agree, we all want our PSVR2 games to stay native at 90 Hz or, hopefully 120. We also have Pistol Whip, which is now being added into PlayStation Plus Premium, and this stays in line with about 5 or 6 of the games that are also in that catalog. Next up, we have a list of the best-selling PSVR2 games in all of August, and surprising no one, Beat Saber is still at the top, but you can see the whole list here if you're interested. And then next up, we have Sony updating the PC PSVR2 adapter app and fixing a distortion issue, allowing AMD toggleable refresh rates and a few more fixes like that, so that's pretty cool to see. Next up, we have Pools, which is a liminal kind of game. It's more so of a walking simulator, and I don't mean that in a bad way. But anywho, it's getting a free VR mode later this year, so check that one out. Next up, we have One True Path, which is a new VR game from the same developers of A Fisherman's Tale, along with some other titles, and it aims to have some sort of resemblance to old school paper and pencil adventure games, but also being a shooting game, and in VR, of course. So it sort of is a twist on the traditional shooting game in VR. Look, I loved A Fisherman's Tale and the sequel and the other games those developers have made, so if this one is any sign, it's still going to be awesome. Next up, we have a game that I was very excited to see announced, and that is Human Fall Flat VR, which is coming soon. We don't have an official release date yet, but, coming soon is, close enough. And it is based off actually a fan-made modded version of VR. And it's kind of interesting to see how a modder who modded Human Fall Flat into VR is now taking it to the finish line with an official release. It's coming to PSVR2, Quest, and Steam, so all the main platforms, for only $13. No release date yet, again, but I'm hoping it's sooner rather than later. Speaking of announcements, we have Thrill the Fight 2. Now, this was already announced years ago, and like a few months ago. So it was announced again, still with no gameplay, but at least this time it seems more official, I guess, more cinematic in its reveal, and it has been confirmed to have multiplayer, again, but I'm praying that this thing gets officially unveiled at Meta's Connect conference later this month. And somehow, the Quest 3S, which I feel is like the most leaked product of all time at this point, somehow had more leaks. This is full-on HD images we're talking about, showing it completely, showing everything about it, including its battery size and weight, which, by the way, is about the same as the Quest 2 and 3. So, not that much news in that department, but it's just crazy how leaked this device truly is at this point. It's just insane. So next we're going to move on to new VR releases. Now this is a sort of becoming a harder subject to really touch upon each week, because with Meta unveiling a open store platform, they're releasing so many different games each week that it kind of becomes hard to track of the quality over quantity, because before you had to only have like 1 or 2 games released a week. So basically now I'm just going to personally pick the games I find most interesting, and if I skip one that you were kind of interested about, just let me know in the comments and I'll try and do better. So starting right off, we have Mannequin, which is a VR multiplayer 2v3 hide-and-seek FPS game. This has got its official release just a few days ago, and it's on sale right now for $16. Has some pretty good reviews, so this may be one to check out if you're into that kind of game. And then finally, we have NFL Pro Era, which officially relaunched as a live service type of game this past week for $40. But It is free if you own either 1 or 2 of the original versions. It also launched a $20 DLC, and interestingly, this live service version of the game is only available on Quest, not Steam or PSVR2 as of recording. So I'm curious to see if they're actually going to bring it to the other platforms or not show any support at all. And the final thing I wanted to touch upon was Walkabout Mini Golf actually just released a new course a few days ago, Mars Garden. And so if you're like me and you're a huge Walkabout Mini Golf fan, I would definitely recommend checking it out. I personally have played it almost half a dozen times at this point. I think it's not the course I was looking for, but I think some people will definitely enjoy it, so I'd recommend just like seeing if it's your kind of thing or not from trailers and gameplay videos. Alright, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it.